This video is sponsored by DistroKid. What's up friends, Durosai here. Hope you guys are staying creative. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make minimal house bass lines with just Ableton stock plugins. This is something that was highly requested in my last video, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I just go over how to layer bass lines, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to make them. So before I get into it, let me just give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, DistroKid. Are you an independent artist, band, or label? Are you tired of SoundCloud and want to get your music onto all the major platforms? Well, you're in luck. Meet DistroKid. DistroKid is a service that musicians use to get their music onto online stores and streaming platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, Google Play, and a bunch others. In this day and age, you can organically grow an audience just by yourself. Dealing with the label can be time-consuming and a hassle. You gotta send out music, wait for feedback, possibly have to send out more music, wait on a release date. It could take forever. But with DistroKid, you can release unlimited music whenever you want. And guess what? It's only 20 bucks a year. That's right, 20 bucks a year. Super cheap. And if you use my link in the description below, you get 7% off your first year's membership. So go check it out. It's DistroKid. I highly recommend. Use my link, get that discount, and start releasing music. Alright, let's get into the video. So first off, I just want to say that this entire project and all the samples are available on my Bandcamp. So if you are interested in exploring this project more deeply, you can click the link in the description and go get that. Just make sure you have Ableton 10.1 or higher. If you have a lower version, you won't be able to open it. So yeah. Alright, let's take a listen to what we have. Alright, so yeah, we just got this 16 bar loop, some drums, couple bass lines, and this like bell thing in the background. You know, I want to focus mainly on the bass line, so I'll just quickly go over the drums at the end of the video. So let's just solo the low frequencies and listen. So it's kind of like this chugging bass line, a couple different elements sort of playing off each other. So let's start with the kick. So we have pretty simple, just a 808 kick. Just cutting out some of the low mids. You know, the 808 kick, super clean, so you know it's really easy to mold into what you want it to be. So, but I like just keeping it very clean. So we got a little bit of drum bus, tiny bit of compression, nothing crazy there. To add to that, we have a top kick, just using operator with some white noise to make this, and that's just, you know, adding that high frequency component to the kick. So now it just sounds a little bit more full. Now we got these auxiliary kicks. So this is the same thing, just this 808. All I'm doing here is I'm filtering it down with this low pass filter right here. And then I'm not making it so punchy, so I'm making the attack slower, bringing down this decay, and I'm doing that same low mid cut. So this kind of just like plays off of the kick, just add some more groove. And now we got some sub bass lines. So these are all, you know, made in operator. So starting with this, let me just solo this. So it's just playing this one note, just G. The track is in G minor. So I'm splitting up the sub bass lines into these two sections, so they both have like slightly different characteristics to make them sound different. So this one's kind of this short punchy note, and the way I'm making that is I just have a sine wave and then another sine wave here, and the algorithm is the straight line, so this means that it's in a series. So this is modulating this, and I just have this set to negative 34 dB. All that's doing is adding like the harmonics. So if you know turn this up, you can really hear it. But I just want like a subtle sort of like a subtle bass. And then we have that here. This one's pretty similar. Only difference is that the attack isn't so punchy. So if you listen to this, it's a little bit of a slower bass. And so as you can see here, the attack is a lot slower. It's like 220 milliseconds. I'm also adding a third operator in here just to give it some more harmonics. And you can hear that because it's like not as like subby and minimal as the first bass line. You can hear a lot of those upper overtones, whereas this one is pretty just like subby. But together, you know, they play pretty well off each other, especially when you add the kick into it. The way I like to kind of think of it is like they're kind of it's a call and response essentially, but you know, I like to visualize it kind of like dancing partners. So they have this sort of ebb and flow together, and you know, they want to work well together but not step on each other's feet and get in each other's way, if that makes sense. So now coming to this mid bass, I'll solo that. So this is adding the more audible part of the bass. So let's hear that with the sub. The sub is adding like the feeling. So let's break down what we got going on. So we have this mid bass line. So this is just playing G right here. Just varying some of that velocity to give it some groove and variation. And all I'm doing here is like I didn't really have much of a plan going into this, especially with operator. I kind of just twist knobs and see what happens. So you know, I'm using these three operators right here. This one's set to 1, this one's set to like 2, which I think means an octave higher. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. And what I'm doing here is I have a macro set, and this macro is set to the release, or I mean the decay of each of these three operators. And so what I'm doing here is I am just kind of modulating this decay time a little bit, so it kind of gives it a little bit more movement and life. Otherwise it sounds static if you take it out. Like I can delete it. It just sounds like, you know, very flat. But with this, some of the notes are longer, some are shorter, and when you're kind of modulating that in between the notes, you kind of get these cool little like effects. So this mid bass line is interacting with this guy, and it's kind of the same principle as these two bass lines. So the first mid bass line that I showed you is a little bit kind of like a little bit slower bass, and then this one is more just like punchy, a little bit more minimal, not as much harmonics. And all I'm doing here is like pretty similar to the other operator patch that I made. Only difference is you have this one's set to 4. Still using only 3 operators. Same sort of series configuration right here. And it's playing again, oops. It's playing same note, G. And this is just supposed to play off the other bass line. So now all together. It's got that groove and chug to it. Very deep feel. So now the last thing is we got this FM bass. And just playing these two notes, G, and then here it's playing D. And it's pretty simple, just using this time all 4 of the operators. They're all set to slightly different course values. You got 2, 3, 4, and then 2. And here I'm actually using this algorithm, which means the first 3 operators are in parallel, and then it's being all modulated by this top operator. And you know, the way I actually came up with this was I was just messing around with all these operators, and I had them on the default series algorithm, and then I just started clicking through all these different algorithms, and then I came across this one which I thought sounded pretty nice, so I went with that. So you know, just some tips and tricks on using operator and getting some interesting results. Definitely want to play around with those algorithms. So here I have like a envelope for the filter, pretty quick filter to give it that punchy, snappy effect. And then all these operators are set to pretty quick decay times. So this again is just another groove adding element. And then on here I have some drum bus, a little bit of chorus just to give it the stereo width, and some reverb. So let me also go over just some of the processing that I have for this whole mid-bass chain, and that's just some EQ. There's a little bit of low mids, especially coming from these 2 mid-bass lines. So I'm just cutting that out, adding a little bit more at the 1.5K range, adding an amplifier, just to, you know, kind of boost it, add some harmonics, distort it a little, and then of course some good old drum bus. You can never get enough drum bus. I think I have drum bus on, yep, I have it on the kick bus itself, and on the actual kick, and on the entire kick bus chain. But the thing is, I never have it at like 100%. It's like here it's only 3%. It's very tiny. So I'm using a bunch of them, but they're all like, you know, 5% here. And nothing too crazy, because I feel like you can kind of overdo distortion and saturation sometimes. So I think a very subtle drum bus always does the trick. Alright, so that is all the bass lines. Alright, so now let me quickly go over the drums. Again, if you get this project, you'll have access to all these samples. So just some hats here. I made this with my Electron Digitact. So got some hats, a ride, and for all these I just have a reverb returns, send and return within the channel itself, just with Ableton stock reverb. Then we got a low hat. This was also made with my Digitac, all 3 of these. So, you know, a little bit explaining with this hat configuration. I'm just trying to get like different frequency elements in there so the drums sound really full. So that's why I have like this low hat. I have this hat, which is kind of like, it's still high frequency, but not like super high. And then there's this ride is a lot more like metallic and tinny. So it's like very high frequency. So then we got an 808 hat. This one I just grabbed from, you know, Ableton 808 samples. Just for some, you know, like staccato, very short hats. Then we got another closed hat. This again comes from my Digitac. Then we got an open hat. This is just a 909. And I'm modulating the decay of the 909 just to give it some movement, because normally I would do this on my TR8 and I would modulate the decay on there, but since I'm doing this with just Ableton stuff, you know, I have to manually automate the decay times. Then we got some rims, good old rim shots. This is again coming from my Digitect. Then we got a clap. This is from my ER1. Just taking out some of the high end because it was like really bright and honestly hurting my ears before they put this shelf. And again, yeah, all these are going into Ableton Reverb. And then lastly, oh wait, gotta talk about drum processing. Pretty basic stuff here. Just drum bus and a glue compressor. Drum bus set on 30%. You know, I didn't do like a full on like mixing or anything of this, but you know, I just try to get it to like a listenable state. So when you open the project, it doesn't kill your ears. So lastly, we got these bells. This is just like an operator preset, and it's just playing this pattern right here. I like it's just kind of like bouncing around in your head, and you also got this like nice soothing note that's happening at this G right here. And I'm just taking away some of the high end, adding reverb, and voila, that's what it is. So yeah, this is the whole groove. Let me know what you think of this video. I know micro house and minimal house and all that, it's a pretty vast genre. There's like so many different styles, so you know, I'll try to come out with like more styles, you know, that sound different to this one, and you know, try to get some variety in there, more project files to be made available. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.